Well, he's had a remarkable roller coaster ride over the last 5 years with the Indian cricket team as the coach. Many highs, a few lows before he has finally exited. Joining us now is the former coach of the Indian cricket team, Ravi Shastri. Appreciate your joining us, Ravi, on this special. If I may ask you at the very outset, at the end of this 5 year term, your biggest achievement as you see it and your biggest regret?
No regret whatsoever. Let me start with that. Because when you've had a journey over the last 5 years, the way I have had, the team has had, and when my team has been overachievers, I have absolutely no regrets. But the highest, it has to be Australia. You just cannot take that away. Back-to-back wins in Australia after almost 70 years, something that was unimaginable, makes that extremely special. And of course, leading the series in England. Yeah.
You're saying you have no regrets, but there'll be those who will say we just lost the World T20. We haven't won a world title in the last 8 years. Isn't that some kind of a regret? Where did we go wrong?
Yeah, it is disappointment, no regrets. It's disappointment that we could have probably, won if not one, maybe two tournaments. But such things happen. In white ball cricket, things can change very quickly. And if you don't start off well, then you could be behind the 8 ball straight away, like it happened in this World Cup. But Rajdeep, let me tell you something. That is silverware. We've got enough silverware, right? If I have too much of it, then it's a problem polishing it after a few years when I get a little older. But for me, steel is more important. And what we've done with this team is infuse steel. And you can ask anyone around the globe, actually, which is the best team on the park today. They'll say it's the Indian cricket team across formats.
I like the way you put it there that, this team has steel. But this team which you say had steel, Virat Kohli, captain, said one of the reasons we lost the World T20 is we were not brave enough. What does that mean?
Yes.
Do you agree that we were not brave enough against Pakistan and New Zealand?
No, I think Pakistan, we got the runs on the board. I won't say, whatever. But against New Zealand, we didn't have the daring. That doesn't mean you don't have steel. One day steel can't disappear. I'm talking of steel over the last 5-6 years that has made this team one of the great teams that have played the game across all formats. We lack the daring, and that can happen. When you're mentally a little fatigued, it can happen. And when you see the amount of cricket these guys have played and lived in the bubble over the last 6 months, it can happen on the big day like it happened there against New Zealand, where you need that switch on, you need that spark, you need that X factor to kick in, and it doesn't. And this is not an excuse, but it didn't happen that day. So I'll put my hand up and said we lack the daring. We timid in that game against New Zealand.
It's interesting you mentioned the bubble briefly there. Do you believe that being in that bio bubble for the last 6 months virtually has made a big difference? Long tour of England, then the IPL. The team was a little burned down, worn out by the end. Do you believe that being in a bio bubble has an effect on players?
Absolutely. No question about it. Some of them have not gone home for 6 months. And last 2 years, if you actually look at it, they've been home for 25 days. That's 24 months. You're home for 25 days if you've played all formats of the game. They're human. This is not something where you, like I said in the press conference, you just put some fuel up your backside and, you're in overdrive straight away. It doesn't happen. So there's a level of mental fatigue, that can creep in apart from the physical. Even physically, you might be fit. But when mental fatigue creeps in, then the moments like you're talking about in that game against New Zealand, or probably in some portions against Pakistan, that spark is missing. And by the time you wake up, it's too late, like what happened with us.
The reason I'm asking you this again, Ravi, is that because there's a worry that the players and the administrations need to get their act together on scheduling. Kapil Dev went to the extent of saying that he worried that people were putting IPL above country. That why have an IPL just before a World Cup? Do you agree? Is there a fear that maybe IPL for some matters more than the country?
I won't say that, but because the IPL was cancelled in April, so they had no choice but to put it at this time because that was the only window available. But I don't think that will happen in the future. Kapil's damn right on the scheduling part of it. I agree totally, because it will take its toll. And it's not just the BCCI. It's every cricket board. Will have to be very careful on scheduling. Don't forget, we play more cricket than any other team in the world. When you add the IPL. So if you look at this World Cup, the teams that are playing in the final, on Sunday, they've hardly played any cricket in the last 6 months. And you can see the difference. I mean, look at Australia, look at New Zealand. They played hardly any cricket. So they played enough cricket to keep them sharp, but they've got that enough amount of rest as well. At times forced as well.
But you're very clear in your mind that a Rohit Sharma values playing for India as much as he does for a Mumbai Indians. Virat Kohli will always value playing for India more than he will for an RCB. That India matters. So, because there's a lot of chat all the time that, players want the money of the IPL and, would rather be fit for the IPL than be fit for India. You're very clear in your mind. You've seen them firsthand that playing for India matters and is valued by each and every one of them.
Absolutely. No question about it. Otherwise, you can't have the performances you have over the last 5 years. You just cannot. If your mind is not there on the job you have to do when playing for the country. And which fool would value that more than playing for the country, man? Come on. You're playing for India. You've got the Indian badge on your chest. You're watched by billions across the globe. You're lucky to be one of the 11 in a country of 1.4 billion people representing your country. So, that's all far-fetched. I mean, whoever says all that I have no time.
How will you respond, though, to those who will say, Ravi, that this T20 World Cup has marked the end of an era? You're exiting as coach after 5 years. Virat is stepping down as T20 captain. Are we seeing the end of this glorious era for Indian cricket?
Yes, because I'm out of the dressing room. I'm done and dusted from that. So you would say an era, yes, because like I said at the press conference, this is one of the great teams to have played the game. I mean, there's an era. There's something when you see that kind of consistency across all formats. You may have always wanted to do something more, like you said, ICC tournaments or things. But what they have done is very few teams will have done that in a long time. And this is, if you look at white ball cricket, you've gone to every corner of the globe and beaten sides in their den. Hammered them at times. In red ball cricket, I mean, to win in Australia twice and then to lead England in England and beat West Indies, Sri Lanka. We might not have won in New Zealand or in South Africa, but we ran South Africa very close. But when you look at those kind of performances and the level of consistency, it's unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't have imagined when I took the job, Rajdeep. I wouldn't have imagined that these guys would even come close to doing what they have done. I would have been far happier even with little less than the close to 70% record they have across all formats of the game. That is winning percentages.
So in a way, do you believe that while you're exiting the dressing room, Virat is still the red ball captain? He's still the 50 overs captain as of now. You think he still has much more to offer as a captain, or should he be just allowed to focus on his batting? There is this dilemma that maybe a captain also has a shelf life. He's been captain for 7 years, high pressure job. Is it time for Virat to, in a way, give the baton to someone else and just focus on his batting?
I mean, in red ball cricket, India has been the number one team in the world for the last 5 years under his captaincy. So unless he wants to give it up, or he's mentally fatigued, where he says, "I want to focus on my batting," which can happen, in the near future. I don't think it'll happen immediately. It can happen. The same might happen with even the white ball one-day cricket. He might say, "I've had enough. I want to just focus on Test cricket captaincy." It's his mind and his body that will, make him, make that decision. And he won't be the first. A lot of players in the past who've had very successful tenures as captain, then given it up to focus on, batting for their side. So it's not impossible. Near future with that kind of record, last 5 years, you're number one. I mean, if you mentioned regret, I won't say regret. Disappointment was that ICC World Test Championship. I thought we should have put in a better show there. We didn't deserve to lose it. A draw was definitely in the making. When it's just a one-off Test match, and especially when you've been in quarantine for, literally 28 days, and then you're out for 4 days, and you're playing a Test match against a team that's already, that have already played 2 Test matches in England and are familiar with the conditions which are similar to, what's back home. So that would be the disappointing thing, because when you're number one team in the world for 5 years as a Test match team, I think that disappoints me more than anything for giving that away.
You just mentioned that Virat will have to decide whether he's mentally fatigued, whether he wants to carry on as captain. You've watched him more closely than anyone else over the last few years. Is he mentally fatigued according to you, or still hungry for more?
He's hungry. I mean, he's fitter than anybody in the team. There's no doubt about that. And when you're physically that fit, your longevity only increases. Now, on the captaincy part of it, that will be his decision. But I see, if anything, he might just say no to white ball cricket, but red ball, I think he should carry on, because he's been the best ambassador for Test cricket over the last 5 years. If you look at an individual, the way he's embraced it, the passion with which he's played the game, the energy he's got onto the field, and the success, should automatically, make him carry on.
When I saw that moment when he hugged you after the last game, and I believe he even gave you a bat after the game. It's been a very special relationship that you've had with Virat. How do you, Ravi, assess his legacy, his contribution, and what is this special relationship that Ravi Shastri and Virat Kohli share?
No, first of all, he gave me a bat for a friend's museum, as did Rohit, and as did MS with a shirt. But the relationship, you need like-minded characters, to achieve a goal. So I'm pretty aggressive in my mindset on the way the game should be played. Virat bought into it. So it became very easy to, move forward and achieve the things we did. Because I think the captain and the coach on the same page is a must. If that doesn't happen, nothing will happen. You'll see immediate pitfalls. So it's important that happens, and it happened between the two of us. And it rubbed off on the other players in the team. There was total trust in the dressing room. There was the word I had disappeared. It was we, it was competing. It was performing against the best, taking the pitch out of the equation, adapting to different conditions. No excuses whatsoever. You lose, you take it on the chin and accept it. Put your hand up and say, you messed it up, rather than pointing fingers. So, all those things come into play, and I can keep reeling it off. It's 7 years in that atmosphere. A lot has gone through one's mind. So, but these are the qualities that have made the team special.
So all these rumors that from time to time that Virat had lost the confidence at times in England of the dressing room, that there were squabbles, all of this is untrue. For you, Virat is someone whose legacy is that he leads from the front, aggressive, and takes the team along with him. He's not ultra aggressive as some of his critics accuse him of. You believe he's not only the finest batsman of his generation, but also someone who deserves his due as a captain.
He deserves his due as a captain. I mean, what he's achieved is unreal. What he has got to get used to and will get used to in the future as well, or might have already got used to, is there will be things written. There'll be a lot of planted stuff out there, which is, just there to stir the pot. A sportsman's ability to ignore all that and move on is what will make him play much longer than he thinks. So ignorance is bliss. So if he follows that, and I think he's already been following it, but if he follows that to the hilt, then I think he'll, without a problem, play for another 6-7 years. Because planted crap.
So you don't think the pressure has got to him? You don't think the pressure has got to him? You think he's still good enough to lead the team? And you're telling me that Virat Kohli probably is an all-time India great. I mean, let's be very clear. He would be probably in any all-time 11 that you picked, and I know you're a student of the history of the game.
Oh, no question about that. I mean, not many become great players in their lifetime. And he became a great player 3 years ago. In the way he's played. So he's enjoying the success. I think, if more than anything, if his body and his mind gets a break at some stage, it will be very good. And even if he needs to take it, he should be man enough to just say, I don't want to play, for a month or two. It might do him a world of good, because you're only human at the end of it. And I'm not just speaking for Virat Kohli, any player. In these COVID times, with quarantine, with the bubble that exists, he should be man enough to say, I want a break. And the board or anyone else should not take any offense to it, because it's natural. Rather than having a total breakdown, it's better if that empathy is shown to that player.
You're saying something very important. You're saying whether a Virat Kohli, possibly a Virat Kohli and other players should be allowed now in COVID times to take extended breaks.
Yes, absolutely. They're human. You cannot go through this, you don't want what happened to Ben Stokes, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. You'll have a lot of players just fried up mentally, wanting to just go away from the game. You don't want that to happen. But that kind of mindset can set in with the cricket that's being played in these times.
You said, Ravi, that you would like to see Virat continue as the red ball captain, given his test success, maybe give up white ball captaincy completely. Rohit Sharma is the new T20 captain. Do you favor one captain for all formats, or do you believe the time has come to look at split captaincy as England does? It reduces the pressure on one individual.
Especially in these times. It will definitely reduce the pressure on the individual, because a lot of players will take breaks. I foresee going forward a lot of players wanting breaks, and rightly so, because you're not a machine. You need to give your mind that space, that rest, that switch off period, where you just get away from the game, even if it is for a month. Because when you come back, then all the juices will be flowing, and you will see you're a different player.
Two contributions of Ravi of yours, which I want to highlight here. One is the number of young players who've come through. KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant, Jasprit Bumrah also, all unique in their own ways. I saw your speech to some of these young cricketers, both in Australia and in the dressing room after Dubai, virtually sort of constantly motivating them. What sets this young generation apart for you? Is it their sense of fearlessness, the way they play? A Rishabh Pant playing a reverse sweep on a last day pitch? What sets them apart?
See, you need youth in the side, because the exuberance of youth is what is needed to strike the right balance. You need experience, you need youth. Youth keeps the experienced guys on their toes, and makes them feel young. The youth are fearless. They'll go out and play the game. So that's the balance which I always strive for. They're young. They don't have baggage. They don't have, the expectations, required of them are not the same as what is expected of the senior players, because they've been around so long. So that balance is needed to make a very good cricket team. So at the back of my mind, I always wanted that.
And the other thing that I thought that you did is that you brought in a lot of the, you actively encouraged playing five bowlers, including the fast bowlers. Was that your idea or Virat's idea? And you suddenly had all these fast bowlers, the Bumrahs, the Sirajes, the Shamis, the Umesh Yadav, the Ishant Sharmas. I mean, we have almost as many fast bowlers now as the West Indies in a way had in their pomp. Perhaps not as quick, but certainly as effective almost.
Definitely my idea when I took over as coach, and I conveyed that to Virat. He was on the same page. I said, listen, if you want to win in cricket across the globe, across formats, you need to be able to take wickets. In white ball cricket, maybe wickets in the middle overs is as important as wickets at the top. Test match cricket, you've got to take 20. Otherwise, no matter how good a batting side you are, you will not win matches. In fact, you'll lose more in spite of having that extra batting. So we took the aggressive option, the risky option, as many people thought at that stage. But it came through. None bigger than at Melbourne. If you saw that game in Adelaide where we were 36 all out, a lot of teams would have said 36 all out, play that extra batsman. I mean, experts were, I don't read much, but I'm sure the experts in India would have been saying, play 6 batsmen. And we had none of that. We had Pant at 6, Jadeja at 7, and 5 bowlers. Rest is history.
Rahul Dravid is taking over from you, Ravi. If you were to give him any words of advice to take this team forward, to take the baton forward, what would it be?
I don't think he'll need any words. A man of his stature, a man of his experience, he's been hands-on as far as coaching goes. He's done a lot of work with the India A team. He's been part of the NCA. So for him, it's an automatic switch. I think just the right guy to replace me. There's no question about that. And I wish him all the luck. I don't think he needs any advice. He's far too experienced to need advice from anyone. I think he has a mind of his own, and he'll get the job done. He's inherited
the reason I'm asking you is
he's inherited a great cricket team, and I think
two completely different characters
with a kind of experience. Sorry?
You are two completely different characters. Rahul Dravid, Ravi Shastri, two completely different characters.
Yeah, but the basics will still be the same. The team is the same, so I see no reason why you need, he'll probably do, as good a job, or probably do an even better job than what I've done.
If I were to ask you in conclusion, Ravi, 2 or 3 things you would like to see change in Indian cricket going forward. 2 or 3 things you would like to see so that we win more consistently, especially in the knockout tournaments of the ICC. Because as you said, that's the one big disappointment, that we haven't won a major tournament in 8 years. So 2 or 3 things you'd like to see going ahead, change in Indian cricket?
I think more than anything, I would say scheduling, so that, people are alive and fresh for the big events like you mentioned. And a solid selection process. Not that there hasn't been a strong selection process, a strong selection process where, you are looking at the big picture rather than things to be done immediately. If that can be done, it's like the question you asked me, getting youngsters in and things of that sort. You need a selection panel that's on the same page as you. I was very lucky when MSK Prasad was he was the chairman, and his bunch of selectors with him. They did a great job. We were on the same page. You got the right kind of things. There were arguments, not everything where you said yes, they agreed. They had their own opinion as well. But there was a chemistry, and that helped immensely, and that is important, because if that doesn't happen, then you're in trouble.
But the fact, Ravi, in a way, is that what you're saying in a way is you want to see new. We want to see Indian cricket move forward. You grew up in the generation where the West Indies were the dominant team. Then we had Australia at the turn of the century. Do you believe this Indian team, there are enough youngsters to take this team forward in the next 10 years? We will remain the best team in the world, even without Mr. Shastri as coach and Virat Kohli possibly as captain?
Yes.
There's enough depth in Indian cricket.
Because the culture has been sown in. So it's a question of just driving it forward and getting the right mixture between experience and youth. You have that combination going, you will continue to have a very, very good team for years to come.
Mm-hmm. You know, Ravi, you took over the team amidst controversy. Anil Kumble was removed as the coach. There was talk from time to time that your relationship with Saurav Ganguly was brought under scrutiny. There were question marks over Ravi Shastri at the end. Do you believe, as always, that you proved your critics wrong? Do you want to settle this controversy that keeps emerging about did Ravi Shastri get along with Saurav Ganguly? Was Saurav keen on Ravi as coach? Do you believe all that's in the past?
All that in the past. When you have a record close to 70% winnings across formats, I don't have to answer anyone. The facts are out there, the records are out there. At the end of the day, that's what matters, nothing else. I can say I did this, I did that, but if the score sheet shows that that's not right, that's not true, you can't argue. You just got to shut up and put your tail between the legs and get lost. But in this case, the facts are out there.
But your
personal
equation with Dada, personal equation with Dada is fine now. Your interpersonal relations have never come in the way of your work.
Absolutely not. We are buddies. Not that we play marbles with each other every day, but there's enough mutual respect.
In conclusion, what next for Ravi Shastri? Are you going back like a tracer bullet to the com box? There's talk of an IPL coaching assignment. The Ahmedabad franchise apparently is wooing you. I mean, what next for Ravi Shastri? You see, you've attracted always strong emotions, both when you played the game and now. What next?
5 fingers, Rajdeep. They're all pointing in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And all have somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ravi, your one final question, which is this: you became champion of champions, 1985, 1983 won a World Cup. Kapil Dev once told me that if I had a cricketer with the talent of Sachin Tendulkar and the drive and the mindset of Ravi Shastri, I'd have a perfect cricketer. What for you has been your most gratifying moment over all these years? As coach of the Indian team or as a player winning that World Cup under Kapil Dev and champion of champions in 85 under Gavaskar? Your most gratifying moment at the end of this long career in the sport?
I think this tenure of it's given me more job satisfaction than anything else, because when I played the game, I had other 10 players with me. When I did this job, you're just with your coaching staff. And you can't do anything once the boys go out in the middle. So all you can do is create a mindset, which allows the boys to play freely once they're out in the center. So this has been, and giving back something. It's entailed a lot of sacrifice. Especially in the last year and a half in this COVID times, which cricket has not seen, since the Second World War. I think and the goodwill. To be honest, let me be honest here, Rajdeep. The goodwill I have received, when I got up in the morning after my last day in the dressing room, I literally had tears in my eyes, because it doesn't happen often with me. But, I was overwhelmed with the goodwill from even your staunchest critics. So, I just say, thank you at the end of it all. I tried my best.
Even all those.
My conscience is clean as far as the effort I put in. I did a job without any agenda. But all I would say, thank you everybody for the support.
Yeah, even all those guys who perhaps were your critics at the start, you won them over, Ravi, by sheer performance. I want to say this to you, that you said you have 5 fingers. I'm sure each of them somewhere or the other will be involved in cricket, because you've always loved to talk and be around cricket.
Yeah, all 5 in cricket, all 5 around sport.
Ravi Shastri, as I said, you've had a remarkable tenure as Indian cricket coach through all those many highs and a few lows. You've done the country proud. So you can have a good rest, Ravi. And,
Thank you.
forget the memes. I'm sure they actually all secretly want to say thank you.
No, but I quite enjoyed some of them because that's talent also. When they suddenly make me have a punch and then suddenly it disappears next day. Something else crops up. There are bottles everywhere. It's funny and it's a laugh at my expense. So at least in tough times, you kept people in good humor.
You want to invite some of them for a drink?
Oh, why not? That they know that the door is open every time. Because they know that.
So the door is open in case you want to have a drink with Ravi Shastri. He's got an open bar for you. We'll talk cricket and, of course, plenty more. Ravi Shastri, pleasure talking to you. And as I said, thank you for the memories of the last 5 years.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Rajdeep.